Okay, it is my great pleasure to inform you that the Board of Christian Connections for International Health, at its last meeting, established a Christian International Health Champion Award. This was an idea that had been floating around for a while, and I myself had some ambivalence about it. Many secular organizations give these awards. I've received some. I'm sure many of you have received some. In a Christian community, depending on our theology, we don't want to give a whole lot of emphasis to calling out individuals and making special ceremonies about how great individuals are. We're a community seeking to glorify God. So the whole point is not to glorify a particular individual, it's to glorify God. But we felt, and the board felt, that establishing an international, Christian International Health Champion Award would be one way of glorifying God by looking at particular individuals, what they have done. In our case, we're interested in people who have served CCIH and its members and what we're doing in the international health space, and examine these individuals, learn from these individuals, look at their motivations, how did they connect faith and their professional life, the exact topic that we just spent an hour talking about. And so we decided that yes, this is a good idea, and we established this Christian International Health Champion Award. I don't want to read the criteria that we established. Pauline Muccina, who many of you know, she was one of our speakers last year, and I worked on this together. We're certainly looking for individuals who had a lifetime achievement, lots of impressive accomplishments. We were looking for people who are CCIH members and serve CCIH and our membership. And more importantly, I think, looking for individuals who we believe who have demonstrated that they're motivated by Christian values and their own personal faith. So we have the award. The next question was, who should be the inaugural recipient of the award? And I'm very pleased to say that the individual that we chose, that was suggested and unanimously chosen by the board, didn't have any competition at all. And so I know you know who it is because it's in the program. It's Dr. Douglas Huber. So Douglas, please come forward. Come over to the side. Next year, maybe there will be competition. I don't know. But for year one, there was no competition. And I'm not going to go into a long litany of Douglas's accomplishments. If any of you would like 3 pages of his CV and significant accomplishments in the projects like the one that Jono just mentioned, his work in Afghanistan with mullahs on family planning, we can multiply that by probably a factor of 50. So if any of you are interested in that, just let me know and I'll email you a long attachment and you can read the whole thing at your leisure. But for CCIH, Douglas has served on our board for 4 years, I believe. And I think more significantly, really, he and I have plotted and nurtured our thinking, our collective thinking on how, as a Christian organization with a very wide disparity of belief and practice on sensitive issues like family planning, how could we enter into this space, the family planning space, in a way that would further the maternal child health, family, community benefits of child spacing and family planning, and not run afoul of some of the sensitivities that various Christian groups and various Christian denominations, various faith-based organizations have on this sometimes controversial topic. So Douglas and I have been partners in this effort and are very pleased that over the last 5-6 years, we've come a long way, and I think we very successfully have shown, not just within our CCIH community, but on Capitol Hill and in the larger political world here, that family planning is very consistent with Christian values. Douglas, we formed a working group that we called the Family Planning Reproductive Health Working Group. Douglas is the lead co-chair of that Family Planning Reproductive Health Working Group and has contributed enormously in the last several years in developing proposals, in guiding projects, in committing his own time and energy and even money. You know, we felt that CCIH should be represented at the recent forum in Nairobi of the Ecumenical Pharmaceutical Network. We hadn't budgeted for it, so Douglas said, well, I'm just going to go. And so we were very fortunate to have CCIH representation. We have Mirfan here, who's the new director of that organization. And this is just an example I'm giving of Douglas's commitment to the cause and his belief that working through a network like CCIH with our members is a way that we can serve God and work for the betterment of humankind around the world. So, and the other thing I want to mention is, that Douglas, if any of you who ask for that 3-page list of accomplishments, has spent most of his life working for secular organizations. He has been a missionary, but most of his life has been with a number of secular organizations. And so he has been a very successful bridge between us as a Christian faith-based community and the larger secular professional world. And that has been very important in helping us as a Christian organization integrate our efforts and partner with a larger group of the larger professional community. For next year, I do want to mention that the board is going to establish a committee, an awards committee. So for next year, we may be soliciting ideas from our membership for future recipients of this award. So, to help Douglas remember our awarding the inaugural Christian International Health Champion Award, we want to present him with a plaque.
Oh.
Which is right here.
Oh, wow. Douglas, thank you.
That's a good picture for Facebook. Yeah.
So Douglas,
Whoa.
we would like to hear a bit from you.
So what's left to say, I suppose? This is indeed a great honor, and I'm deeply, deeply thankful and grateful. Of course, from a Christian perspective, you know, this is wonderful, and it's also dangerous because, as Ray quite rightly pointed out, you know, this could lead to a little puffed up pride or whatever, and we know that pride is one of the major 7 deadly sins. So as a Christian in formation, I'll keep that in mind. This is especially nice because the board voted on this, and all of you know that the board is a tough group when it comes to things. And it caused me to think a little bit more about, okay, so what's a health champion in this process of champion? And I've used that word a lot over the years and recently too, of creating champions to further health initiatives and how we do that. And so I thought about, okay, there's some elements that might be useful to think about as we explore how we want to change the world, which is part of our mission in some ways. And first of all, it occurred to me that, if we look around this room, who are health champions in our midst, and it's just a whole lot of people. In fact, probably every one of you and every one of us in one way or another is a champion for what we're doing. And the process along the way, as I was thinking, one thing that came to mind was something my freshman chemistry teacher in undergraduate said to me, said to our group. He says, "If you would kindle others, you must be a flame." And I remember sitting there in chemistry class thinking, what's Professor Gustafson talking about this? I'm just sitting here trying to get through Chemistry 1A, But it obviously stuck. And I remember thinking, maybe I'll be a flame someday with something. And we hope so. But along the way, there's a lot of perseverance and discernment that kind of goes into it. And Ray and Jono, thank you, have talked about some of these elements. But as I reflect along the journey, one thing that really impresses me is looking at organizations or an issue and groups to identify and to work with where something important and good is really being done well with few resources. One of my colleagues told me that one time, and he says, if you find that, something's really happening with not a ton of money being thrown at it, pay attention, because there's something going on there that you should further. And I've taken that to heart, and in fact the Afghanistan project that Jono and Ray mentioned was just that. It was 1/200th the cost of the big U.S. aid project that was being implemented, and implemented very well. But if you do it well and go that extra mile and listen carefully to folks in the community, you can sometimes bridge gaps and find new ways of doing things that nobody thought could be done. And of course, moving things along and innovating, staying out of trouble, as well as making a difference is important. And as Ray alluded to, in this interesting area of reproductive health, family planning, sexuality, that's a lifelong process of working at that. And I've certainly been surprised where we have come along on this, and the board. And the other element that is integral to this is looking for good companions. Certainly Ray has been an extraordinary companion in this, as well as the board, as well as our colleagues sitting in the front row and elsewhere who have been key parts of this. And I reflect on the comment by Archbishop Desmond Tutu that God sometimes speaks through ordinary people, and you just have to listen. And so when Nancy Harris spoke to us about, we got our first little award to do some advocacy on family planning, so talk about what Christians are actually okay about with this area. She said, you ought to go into Capitol Hill and do something soon and make it kind of big. And we thought, oh, really? So as Nancy nudged us along, and a good colleague, we decided to try to develop a program in Capitol Hill, invite some people. And I think the key was reaching out to other good colleagues, secular and religious, and all sorts of connections that could make it work. And indeed, we surprised ourselves with getting 22 congressional offices together and a room that was way overloaded. A lot of people standing outside in the hall. Henry Moseley was one of the eminent speakers there, and others. And so doing something that we really didn't think we could do or hadn't done before was a big part of it. So for me, the key faith lesson is that God sometimes stretches you beyond your comfort zone. And going with that is part of the faith journey. And certainly Nancy Harris and others are part of it, but being open to that is the other part of it. So I just leave you with those thoughts. As one of my favorite sayings along the way is, you're moving towards championing something, is a saying from Mario Andretti, the famous race car driver, who said, if you feel like you're in control, you're going too slow. Now that's not guidance for the average driver learning to drive, but there is something to that. You've got to move with where I think God is calling us, and sometimes that's beyond our comfort zone and beyond our ability to really be fully in control. And I think that's where faith comes in, as well as doing it right, taking risks, and not being afraid to do that, but doing it with the best companions you can get and the best evidence of knowledge and information, so that it's a calculated, informed risk and not a crazy one. So I'll leave you with that, and God bless you all. This has been a wonderful journey so far, and I look forward to the next steps. Oh.